Well, hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining in today. My name is Nduta Wambura, and if you can hear me, please go ahead and post on the comment section. And I am just giving a minute here to anyone else who would be joining us. So thank you so much for joining, and I will begin shortly. This is going to be just slightly over 1 hour or just an hour chat, really, just to give you the right tools that you would need to write your personal statement, or some of the people might call it statement of purpose, and others might call it motivation statement, and so on and so forth. So I am gonna wait for just a few minutes and just to let everyone come in. And yeah, hi Stephen, thank you so much for joining. I'm waiting for some more people to join, and I'm just hoping that there will be people who will join. Even if there won't be people who will join, then we will just proceed and people can watch right after. So I'm just gonna post on the group for anyone who is all right. Okay. So Stephen, you can already ask your questions or whatever it is, but then it's too early to ask a question, right? But maybe you can tell your friend. I think we have the sound on. I'm just gonna. Okay. Yeah. So Kenyan time always. Let's see. Yeah, always Kenyan time. Okay, so I am posting on Facebook. I should get that. All right, done. Okay, so you know what? We'll keep time. So let's get started. So thank you so much for joining, guys. My name is Nduta Wambura. Of course, you have already known me. And if you're new to this channel or you have never heard about Erasmus, Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters programs are EU-funded programs. And some people usually tell me, hey, Nduta, you say about Erasmus, and I think that it is an opportunity for somebody who is out there who knows someone else. And I'm always like, no, this is something that you can actually apply for and you can benefit from. So how about you just give it a try and see how it goes. And most people don't realize that it's so easy to actually apply for Erasmus, unlike all other scholarships that you will find out there. I mean, it is one of the easiest ways to apply for a scholarship. It's one of the easiest processes that you can actually take and go through the process. And the thing is, we are creating a community around Erasmus in Kenya, and it is still small. It's still, we still have our numbers, which are very low. But Erasmus is legit. I myself have benefited from the Erasmus program. So, I mean, it's a legit program. It is 100% very much for anyone who is in Kenya, any ordinary person. It's not that, it's about who you know and someone who can connect you. So that's not the correct way of looking at things. So without further ado, I will begin today's session. So today's session is about, like I said, statement of purpose, personal statement, motivation statement, whatever you want to call it. Some people, these tips might actually also help you for your cover letter. Some people might ask for just statements that they might use even for other scholarships, really, not just Erasmus, because I do understand that, yes, some people might not find Erasmus for them as a good idea. Like some people might think that, hey, I don't think I want to study in Europe. I want to maybe go to the US or maybe Australia, or maybe I want to go to China. I want to go elsewhere. So Erasmus might not be for me. So yes, I do understand that Erasmus might not be for you. Yes. But then again, of course, getting to know some of these general tips really helps and really goes a long way, even for future. So I will begin right away sharing my screen. I hope that this is going to work the way it should. So let's see. Yeah, and so I mean, of course, invite someone into this live chat, and let them come in and be able to see exactly what we are trying to do here. And just one moment here. Okay. One second. My computer is working against me for a minute, but it should work. All right. So let me know if you can see my screen, and let me just one second. Yeah, let me know if you can see my screen in a bit, and I will. Okay, here we go. If you can hear me still, I'm trying to share my screen, so perhaps you might not see my face, but let me know in the comment section. I will definitely check whether you can be able to see my screen. Stephen, if you can hear me, please let me know if you can be able to see my screen on the comment section, please, and so that you can go on. I will be definitely checking. I'm right here. It's only that I cannot navigate very well, so let me know if you can. Yeah, I should be able to see that. So if you can see my screen, let me know. If not, all right, great, perfect. That's what I was looking for. So now let's go ahead. All right. I mean, tech issues. All right, so it should work now. It should work. Okay, it should work, and you should be able to hear me speak as well. So today's session, like I said, it's about your personal statement. Some people might call it motivational statement. Some people might call it statement of purpose. Some people might call it, just a statement really, or a scholarship statement. There are several ways of calling this statement, and all of them are towards applying for your scholarship. So today I will give you some general tips about writing your statement of purpose. And the good thing about Erasmus Mundus is that most of the programs will give you some certain headlines which you can be able to use towards your writing your personal statement. So some of the programs, for example, Global, I know of other programs like AFEPA who actually give you some exact guidelines or exact statements that you need to answer to. Some programs will not give you these statements ahead of time. They will just tell you, hey, write a statement that is maybe 300 words. It can be 500 words. It can be 1,000 words. It can be 1,200, 1,500, depending on the program, because we also have some new programs which are coming up, and for sure they are trying to get to have different ways of writing these personal statements. Whichever the case, what you need to answer, first is one. And if you're taking some notes, this would be very helpful for you. One, why are you applying for this program? What's your motivation for applying this program? Is it just because you want to come to Europe? Is it just because you want to, come and travel around? Or, that's not even a reason enough, really. But what is the motivation of applying for this program? That's the first question that you need to answer. Number two, what is it that you have experienced in terms of work, internship? It can be, whatever maybe courses that you've done. What is it about your experience that sets you apart, and what are you going to contribute to the consortium, right? What are you going to contribute to the consortium when you come to study this program? And then the other question that you need to answer is what are you gonna do after you study this program? You've come over, you have gone through all the mobilities or your study tracks in different countries, and you finalized, right? So what next? What are you going to contribute towards? Maybe is it an SDG goal that you're trying to bridge? Is it a certain project in your community that you're trying to go ahead and get the right skills so that you can have more value in that project? What exactly is it that you're trying to do with this program? And so a personal statement is, something, or a paper, or an essay that allows someone who has never met you, and perhaps you have heard me say this a million times, someone who has never met you, this reader is going through your application to gain the best and the strongest feel of who you are as a person, and whether you are the right candidate for this program. So the thing that you need to answer to this person is, what is setting you apart from other applicants who have applied for this program? Some of the programs might have thousands and thousands of applications. So what is evidentially so what is setting you apart from all these other applicants, right? And so you need to provide evidence on this piece of paper, whether it's on 300 words, whether it's 500 words, whether it's 1,000 words, depending on the program. So you need to provide evidence as to why you're the right person on a piece of paper. Introduce yourself to someone who's never met you on a piece of paper. So that's what you need to think about when you think about a personal statement or a motivation statement and such kind of things, depending on what the program calls it. So in other words, what you need to include on this statement, if you forget everything else, what you need to include on this statement is your work experience, your voluntary experience, whether that is something that you did, maybe you did some volunteering work somewhere in your hospital, in your community organization, wherever it is that you did. What is your volunteering experience, right? What is the internship that you did? What are the academic things that you got involved in your undergraduate? Perhaps, for example, personally, I used to be involved a lot in Culture Week activities during my Kenyatta University undergraduate studies. So exactly what are these academic things that you did? Were you involved in the students' union? Did you get involved in clubs and societies in your undergraduate? Are you still currently involved in some clubs and societies still? Perhaps maybe some people might say they are members of Rotary Club. Are you an active member? What do you do in those clubs that is relevant towards this program that you're actually applying? What are the achievements that you have had? Have you had any awards, even as small as maybe even in your secondary school, or do you have any awards maybe even in your workplace, right? These are the things that you need to put on this statement. What are your interests? What are your personal experiences? So you need to get very, 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 very personal in this case. So telling your story as to why, the experience that you have, or the experience that you profess to show on that paper, that it is actually relevant towards the program that you are trying to apply for. So think about, maybe you're applying for say a program in engineering. What is your work experience that is actually relevant towards the program you're applying for? What are the clubs and societies that you have been involved in during your engineering career that are congruent towards your application. So in many words, this is what you need to include. So I'm making this presentation very short and very general, but this is exactly what you need to think about for you to have any successful statement. And so what should you avoid then? I mean, of course, I've seen quite a number of statements, people writing words and lots of words and lots of words and lots of words so that they can be able to fill into maybe the program is asking for 1,000 words. And so you're like, oh, I'm going to write as much as I can and fill into those 1,000 words because, hey, I need to get in, right? So avoid irrelevant sub stories. So what I mean by this is that, everybody in the world is experiencing some sort of problems. So it is not like, just because it's you who is coming from Kenya, you should give a sub story of maybe how you've been suffering since your childhood, or how you're suffering just because of the economic crisis that is happening, or how you're suffering because you cannot get a job, etc. Irrelevant sub stories. Avoid such kind of things. Everyone is going through it. Remember, this is a global program, so which means that every single other person across the globe might just come up with the same story, right? But what is setting you apart is, of course, telling that, fine, you have had some weaknesses, you've had some shortcomings, you've had some issues around you, but then again, you've had experiences that are actually, propelling you towards maybe changing your narrative in your community, maybe changing the narrative in your country. So avoid irrelevant sub stories. I cannot not tell you how much that is going to help you a lot. Again, of course, avoid saying, having lies on your personal statement, because someone might just do a background check on you, and then you might not get the scholarship just because maybe you lied. Maybe you lied, you worked with a certain organization. Maybe you lied, you said, oh, you know what, I have done an internship in organization A, B, C, D, E, and then the person in the committee or in the consortium looks at your application and then is like, okay, this person does not feature anywhere. Perhaps they might even call them or maybe send them an email, and then they will decline and say, hey, we don't even know this person. We don't even know who this person is. So avoid lying. That is one thing that you need to be very careful about. As much as you want to show yourself that, you are the great candidate that should be taken for this program, avoid telling the lies. And of course, things like spelling mistakes, things like, don't repeat yourself, and bad grammar. All these three things actually are in one. So which means that you can use such programs like Grammarly, whereby Grammarly is going to correct your spelling mistakes. It's going to give you the correct connotation of maybe phrases that you have written on your personal statement that do not sound correct. So use such programs like Grammarly. Avoid being indecisive on that application. Don't use such words like, ever since I was a child, I was like, I knew for sure I needed to be an engineer. I knew for sure I needed to be a doctor. Things like, too much, too little, like abbreviations. Don't use abbreviations. Don't use smileys. People use all these kind of things, thinking that, hey, they're going to set you apart, but then that's not it. Okay, so avoid such kind of words and such kind of phrases. And of course, the one main thing that I always say is, do not use flowery language and overused phrases. And I took this excerpt from a magazine that was writing about Erasmus and how people tend to use these phrases over and over and over again. And really, someone who is reading this statement has definitely maybe seen quite a number of these phrases used, and maybe every single time they see this phrase, they're like, okay, I'm going to the next application. So such words like, from an early age, I have always been interested in, like I said, for as long as I can remember, I have been fascinated with maybe nursing or travel or whatever it is. And, like people always say, I am currently studying maybe a nursing degree in this. And these are phrases that have been used over and over on personal statements, which actually might, depending on who is reading, obviously, your statement and at what time of the day may be, you need to be as convincing as possible. And writing a statement, writing is an art, right? So you want to write something that anyone would want to read. When you read it out loud, when somebody else reads it out loud for you, they can actually relate and they want to keep on reading more. They want to know, who is this person? Who is this person who's done engineering, has had all these experiences, has done ABCDE, and it can write it on a piece of paper and convince me that they actually need this funding for 2 good years, right? So this is something that you actually need to pay attention to. Do not use flowery language and overly used phrases. And these are things that you can actually find even on online, on Google, and be able to see that this and this has been overly used. Let's not use that. Let's not use this flowery language. Let's not, for example, maybe you're trying to go to Nairobi from Nyeri, and then you decide to start, your journey and go all the way to the north of Kenya to Garissa and then come back to Nairobi. That does not make sense at all, does it? Makes zero sense. So be straight to the point. If they say, they've given you the headlines, well and good. That way you can be able to actually get to have a better glimpse of exactly what to write without having to wonder whether this is the correct, the correct thing that you need to write, and so on and so forth. So then what do you do? What do you do? How do you structure your statement? So, for pretty much all the statements that you will go through, you would need to have a good structure. So the first thing that you need to put on that statement is an introduction. An introduction to who are you? And we will look at an example of a statement right here shortly. So stay on, keep on, tell your friends and let them know that we are live. And the first thing that you need to do is introduce yourself. Introduce who you are, And, like, it's not just saying, hey, my name is Jane, and I'm interested in applying for a master's in public policy and management. That is not something that is catchy, because this is the first paragraph that you are actually writing. So you want to write something that can be a little bit catchy to this person who is actually going to be reading your statement. So, you can use and play around with the words. I said we are going to look at an example of a statement very shortly, and you can be able to see exactly what I mean. So, from the introduction paragraph, then go to the interest outside of school and responsibilities. So these are the things that I said here. What are your experiences? What is your internship experience, your volunteering experience? What exactly have you experienced that sets you apart to be able to go into this program? What are you going to contribute into this consortium that you're applying to? And of course, when you look at the study tracks or the mobilities, if you may, on each of the programs, they will tell you that each of the universities has, you're going to learn ABCDE in each of those universities. And then they will tell you, of course, that after you finish from this university, you go into this other university, and this is what you're going to learn. So they will give you the curriculum on the websites. So you can put in your interests that are congruent in each of the study tracks that you might be able to choose, or the mobilities that you would choose, and align them with what is happening in each of those universities. So for example, you might say that maybe you did like a volunteering work in Kibera, maybe you are doing food security projects there in Kibera, and you say like, from my volunteering experience in the urban settlement of Kibera in Nairobi, Kenya, I would be able to be a voice in this consortium, whereby I would be able to share my experiences with other students in the classroom and give my perspective about food security issues and what is on the ground. That is something, just a simple example of exactly what, of exactly what they would expect from you, really. So it's as simple as that. What are some of your interests outside of school and responsibilities that set you apart towards being the best candidate for this program? And in fact, as much as you're the best candidate for this program, then what are you bringing to the table, right? Okay. And then the work experience and the things you have done in school and or your college, this really, really matters, because then again, maybe you have been working and maybe you've been doing some trainings, maybe for your CPDs, continuous assessments there in your workplace, or maybe, you finished your undergraduate, right? And maybe went into another different field. Maybe you began your undergraduate in IT, and then, due to the job market, you found a job maybe in the business world, and that is where you have been, right? So that experience maybe, for example, sets you apart towards applying for a business course, an Erasmus, master's that is taking up people with a business background, simply because the experience that you had in your workplace is relevant towards the requirements needed in that consortium. You get what I mean? So this is something that you need to stipulate very well. And of course, you're going to stipulate this, even on your CV, whereby you're writing your work experience and you're sharing your, what you've been through your work experience. You've been maybe, tasked to maybe manage a group of people. You have been tasked maybe to check, certain kind of things during your work period, which are relevant again to your application. So these are the things that you need to think about. Now, the other thing that I want to say here, so you need to conclude this, before you go to the conclusion, of course, you need to tie in and say, what have you done related to the Erasmus program? And of course, how you will be contributing to the program, and maybe the gap that you're trying to bridge when you finish the program. So finally, you have graduated, you've been accepted, etc. You've gone through the mobilities, you've gone through the study tracks, etc., and then you finished, you've graduated. So what are you going to do with that degree? Is it that you're going to go into academia? Is it that you're going to go into maybe research? Are you trying to do a PhD? Are you trying to find for work elsewhere within Europe? Or what exactly are you trying to do? What exactly are you trying to do after that? So you need to tie into that paragraph and then conclude and say, perhaps you're happy, you'll be obliged when maybe you get that, you get to have that scholarship and get to learn within Europe. And perhaps maybe you can attest to the fact that maybe because the Erasmus program is very European culture oriented, you can also talk about things that, you maybe be able to benchmark within the European continent and get to learn their culture. Just a statement to tie into exactly what you have been saying before. It really depends again with the program and what the requirements are, right? So now if you forget everything else, this presentation, I know you're getting bored and you're wondering, so Nduta, exactly why why are we here? But interact with me, let me know on the comment section here. Let me know what are your thoughts and all that kind of thing. So now, if you forget everything else, these are some 4 points that you have to remember. To 1, be as specific as possible. As specific as possible. And this is not something that Kenyans, we learn how to do, because usually we think that when we are applying for a certain program, we are just gonna go ahead and apply for it, and then, we will maybe, in our thoughts, we are thinking that this is maybe a bot that is going to be reading this application. So, we just want to be congruent with maybe the job description, and not necessarily like be very specific into exactly what we've been through in our personal lives, because we think it does not matter, because we have been cultured into, it's who you know in Kenya, and that's just the reality. So when you're applying for an Erasmus program, you need to be very specific. And I said, don't lie, be as honest as possible. what in particular attracted you to this program? These are things that you need to sit down and think about, because now you've gone through the catalog, you found some 3 great programs that you want to apply for. So what exactly in particular attracted you to this program? And what particular courses do you hope to take while abroad, and why? So in this case, of course, goes down into the study tracks that you choose, or the mobility that you have already within that program. Because remember, some of the programs will tell you this is the mobility. So your first semester, you're going to be in Portugal. Your second semester, you're going to Spain. Your third semester, you're going to Germany. Your fourth semester, you're going to Denmark, right? And in all these semesters, they will tell you this is what you're going to learn in these different universities. So now, what particular courses do you hope to take within that? Because of course, some of the curriculums will give you some options to choose, right? So you might be like, hey, I'm going to do this course and this course because I know this university, or maybe you have seen already, you have done your background check and seen that this university in Portugal has been involved in quite a number of research within that program that you're actually going to study. And this is something that is of your interest. So for example, what do I mean here? So maybe you're trying to do this master's in smart cities, right? And so you're like, you know what? I've seen that the University of Porto or the University in Denmark or wherever it is has been doing quite a lot of research within this field, which is congruent to what I am actually trying to do back in Kenya, or what I'm trying to do as a researcher, or what I'm trying to do as a person who stands out, in the smart cities world. This is what exactly I mean, right? So be as specific as possible. How do those courses relate to what you also have already maybe studied, or what you have already experienced? And how do you imagine that the experiences you will gain from this program will relate to either your academics, your professional, or your personal goals in the future? Like I said, structure into saying, maybe there's a gap that you want to fill. Maybe it's an SDG gap. Maybe it's like, you're trying to maybe go into, like I said, academia, or maybe you want to lecture in the future. What is it exactly that the experiences that this program will give you, how will those experiences relate to either your academics, your professional life, your personal goals? What is it? Be specific. And I said, no flowery language, right? So in what ways do you anticipate to grow academically, personally, from the experiences in that program? That's a loaded question, which is actually the core of a personal statement. Be very, very specific. And, like in the European culture, it's always like, be as specific as possible. Write something that someone wants to read, and something that is not like, you're writing just to fill the words that they have requested. Now, another thing is structure your letter in an effective and coherent way. I mean, I know that you already have had this, me repeating this and this and this forever. Yeah. So, like I said, start with a strong introduction, which is engaging, right? So the intro has to be very powerful. And of course, write efficiently. Do not write in a way where you're just throwing dozens of adjectives and adverbs and you're just throwing big words so that you can be seen to be a very big person. No. And like I said, more is not better. Be very, very keen on the words that they are asking there. What is the format that they're asking for? What is the font they're asking for? Maybe sometimes they might be very specific on these kind of things. So again, more is not better. Ensure that you can be able to write your personal statement. Let's say you're writing your personal statement today. Then be sure that you can be able to write another version tomorrow, and another version the other day, and the next day, and the next day, until you get it right. Let someone actually be able to also read your personal statement. Now, over to the part that everybody has been asking for. So, hey, can you provide us with an example of a personal statement? So let me put a disclaimer here that I cannot actually do that because it will be plagiarism, one, and it's not actually ethical within the GDPR in Europe. So that is not something that I can do. However, this is an excerpt, and you can not actually be able to see exactly the words here, but this is an excerpt from a motivation statement that was written quite a long time ago. This was not necessarily, this is not necessarily exactly what they actually submitted, but it's an example that I would like us to go through. So if you have a personal statement right with you, this is something that I would like you to see whether and look and see whether you're actually within the stipulations of your program, whatever the program that you're actually trying to apply. So like I said, first things first is a short introduction. So I know you cannot be able to see the wording, maybe. I'm not quite sure, but I do hope that, I don't know whether you're able to see. Whichever the case, this person begins, and I'm just going to read through, is since the beginning of my final year as an undergraduate student, I had set a goal of pursuing higher studies in biomedical engineering and have been planning and preparing step by step throughout the year. To finally realize my goal, I would like to enroll for the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Degree in Medical Imaging and Applications. If you realize, this person did not use a filler, or a flowery language kind of way to introduce themselves, right? They introduced themselves not saying, I am Jane and I studied this, whatever. They started with a very good story because they said, since the beginning of my final year as an undergraduate student, this is when they set their goal of pursuing higher studies in biomedical engineering. So this is someone who has thought this through and knows, that they just cannot introduce themselves that saying by, my name is so and so and I'm this and this, because everybody does that, right? Now, in the next section, this person states how they got into engineering during the undergraduate period. So if you notice, they have a very catchy way of writing it, because what they say in the next paragraph goes like, although I had always academically excelled in almost all my subjects, my main interest from secondary school level was in physics and mathematics. I found the practical implications of these subjects very intriguing and thought-provoking, and so on and so forth. So they actually begin telling their whole story. What exactly happened during the undergraduate study. Yeah. And then this person stipulates exactly where they enrolled, and they say that they enrolled in a Bachelor of Science in Electrical and Electronic Engineering program, and so on and so forth. And they complete that paragraph by highlighting the exact fields they specialized in. So that is how you do it. And this person does not even use the filler words, right? Now, after that, they say, they establish a path to grow their interest to the area of the interest. I'm sorry, they actually write a paragraph showing how the area of interest has grown. So the next two sections, you are actually, a continuation of the story of how they gained the interests in their area of study. Okay, and what they stipulate is, first of all, they say, but verbatim, they say, my lecturer began, let me see, sorry. So they say here, I believe undergraduate level was a time for me to explore the field of electrical engineering. My interest in biomedical engineering began during my second year, and I went through a few articles they mentioned there. I'm not going to mention some of them because, again, this is not something that I would like to be plagiarized for and that kind of thing. So I am very careful to share some of the details. So again, what they stipulate on these two paragraphs is how their interests has been growing and they tie it in with the academic courses that they actually did that sets them apart towards applying for this Erasmus program, right? And then what they do next is they briefly describe the undergraduate project and its success. What exactly, they did during the undergraduate and what is relevant towards this program once again, and how they succeeded in the undergraduate project. And what they say, again, I'm just going to do an excerpt. Sorry about that, because this is something, again, I don't want to be plagiarized for. And they say, let me see here. One sec. So all this interest lead me to my undergraduate project. So the interest that they had before, and the undergraduate project focused on implementation of low-cost biopotential trainer module, which is something that is within the medical imaging thing. And they say that they worked as a group with 2 other people and worked towards designing this reconfigurable model. And through their project, they have been prepared to come up with a market-ready product. And through their final year, their project was highly appreciated and took them into the top 9 out of 180 undergraduate project theses for within their faculty. So this is a highlight that sets them apart again, as to the reason why they're good candidates for the medical imaging Erasmus. And then finally, they give a little bit of a co-curricular activity experience. So they say that they are able to grow their networks through several national congresses. They've been through team building. They've been through organization, which is something very, very important. They've been through activities such as organizing, leadership roles, which enriched their, undergraduate experience. So this is another thing that you need to also stipulate. And then finally, in their final and last section, they talked about their interest in the field. And what they say is that my interests have matched with the medical image analysis. And the current work that they're doing, is very, very important, because they say they are working on a project about autism in babies. And what they state is that I have grown to admire the wide range of courses it offers to make one specialist in this field. Since my long-term plan is to pursue a PhD, you see what I was telling you, be able to be very, very exact what you're going to do after. So they say that, this is going to help them through their PhD, and they would be able to also continue their affiliations after they finish their program. Yeah. So they finish this by talking about a little bit about their interest in the field related to the subject they're applying for, a little bit about the courses, and finally to the conclusion, how they will use this program after they finish their course. Okay, so now I am gonna go to the next slide here. Let's see. Before I can maybe take any questions. All right, so this is another example that I came up with as well. And I want you to read. I know you can read this one, but this is something that I also came up with. It says here, I appreciate this opportunity to provide further information in support of my application for master's program in agricultural, food, and environmental policy analysis, AFEPA, which is one of the programs. So as I was born in a village, I had the opportunity to closely observe the village people and the agriculture dependent lifestyle. I was surprised after noticing that the large farmers are the major stakeholder of different agricultural development policies. And although these policies were implemented for overall agricultural development, the small and marginal farmers were always deprived. From those days, my dream is to serve the socially excluded groups and work with the policy and planning department for rapid rural development of my country. I am motivated with the FEPA master program, particularly for gathering knowledge about planning different types types policies related to agriculture and environment, which will speed up rural development. I want to be part of this program to know socioeconomic and environmental effects of different types of policies. Besides higher education, the opportunity to study in more than one country would serve as a bridge between language and cultural exchange and relationships between students of different countries. I also will be able to learn about the educational system of different organizations for this mobility system. So this program is an important milestone in my young career as to become a policy expert and to pursue my dreams to serve nations. Finally, it will be really helpful to boost my future chances in the job market, and at the same time, the knowledge and experiences will promote my confidence to think and act bigger. So now, the thing that I want you guys to notice here is that this is, well, a good structured, well-structured, personal statement. But one, it has quite a number of mistakes, like I was mentioning before, because this person already, had a few mistakes here and there, typos and language that just does not make sense, and filler words as well. So if you look at the third paragraph, where they say, I am motivated with their FEPA's master's program, you don't say that in English. It's not even grammatically correct, right? So I am motivated maybe to apply for their FEPA master's program because that is maybe the correct language to use. And then they say particularly for gathering knowledge about planning different types of policies. Does not make sense at all. There's a lot of language that is not making sense. And then the other thing that you would notice is that this person also uses quite long sentences, which makes somebody feel that they don't want to read anymore. Because again, they say here, I want to be part of this program to know socioeconomic and environmental effects of different types of policies. And then there's another sentence I noticed that was quite long. I'm sorry. So, so this exactly the first sentence is quite long. So they say, I am motivated with the AFEPA master's program, particularly for gathering knowledge about planning different types of policies related to agriculture and environment, which will speed up rural development. Rural development where? Like, they don't even say exactly where they are even going to do that. And that first sentence is already like super long. They have lots of mistakes. And they also, when they introduce themselves, I was born in a village. Which village is this that you were born into? You say that you had an opportunity to closely observe the village people. Which village people? Why does it matter that, you observed these village people? I mean, anyone else can write and say that I observed village people, right? And then he keeps on saying that he or she, I was surprised after noticing that the large farmers are the major stakeholder of different agricultural development policies. These are just words. They are not specific about exactly why they should be the best, candidates for this program. And as much as they have structured their, statement very well, it does not make quite a bit of sense, and it doesn't give the strength that a personal statement needs anyway. So these are the two examples that I wanted to show you, so that you can be able to know what I'm trying to talk about. There's a good statement, there's a bad statement, there's a way you structure a good statement, and there's a way you structure a statement that does not make sense at all. So think about these things. So after this session, I know it's been already almost 1 hour, and I want to take any questions that you might have, really. After this session, what I want you to think about, I want you to take a pen and paper and start to think about things that you can put in your personal statement, right? Things that are, you can write all the experiences that you have had, and then cross out those that does not make sense at all. And then, tick in those things that make sense towards the program that you're applying for. Whether this program is actually something that, perhaps is not congruent with what your undergraduate, you did during your undergraduate, but maybe you've done whatever the experiences that you've had are congruent towards this application. That's one thing. Make a note of the things to include. Like I said, things to include and things not to include. And look at different other examples of maybe personal statements that have been written. They do not necessarily have to be for Erasmus. You can always check online for inspiration as to, what other personal statements have been written. Remember, this is a personal statement for a scholarship, not for a job application. You're not applying for a job maybe in one of those big organizations. It's for a scholarship. So keep it within that structure. And do a whole lot of research. This is the reason why we have these sessions every single other time. Do the research that you need. Speak to consultants, write to consultants really directly. We have a very good mentorship program. We have alumni on the Facebook group that you can actually, be able to use and ask them the questions, relevant questions that they might even read your statement and tell you, hey, here, you're making a mistake here, you're making a mistake there, right? Then start writing. Write today, then write another one tomorrow, compare them, see what is exactly are you missing, do any revisions, let someone read your statement, let them criticize you, let them tell you this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. Let them read, because sometimes we think that, oh, I can write this, I can do this all on my own, and then what? You end up writing something that is actually not the correct, statement or the correct words. So now, I will give this chance to anyone who has a question. I will go to the comment section. I haven't checked it in a minute. I don't know whether you guys have any questions about this, any feedback. Feel free to write it on the comment section. And let me see. Let me go to the comment section. Alrighty. All right, so if you can hear me now, you can tell me. Let me see. So yeah, okay, Stephen, Selena, yes. All right, so Thomas, congratulations for the work you do. Many blessings to you. Thank you so much for that. I mean, I totally do this just because it's within the work description that I have, but really, honestly speaking, I'm happy to do it any single time. So I don't see you guys don't have any question, which is actually amazing. So I do hope that you're actually writing the correct thing. But if you have any question that is not even related to the personal statement, I'm here for it, really. And one thing that I also wanted to clarify during this session is that, as much as we are giving you this information, it's just general information. You need to really, really, really read through the requirements that you need to have on each of the program websites. So that is something that I always encourage you to read. And sometimes it can be a bit tiring, reading through all the jargon and you're wondering, okay, fine. I'm reading all this, but I cannot be able to even understand exactly what I need to do, etc. And so it can be a bit demoralizing. But read through, filter through, and see which program that you want to apply for, and ask for help. And again, if you feel that Erasmus is not for you, the European Union has got quite a number of other scholarships that happen, so you can look into those ones. We have scholarships in Germany, we have scholarships in the Netherlands, we have scholarships right, left, center happening within the European Union. These are things that you can already take care, check out and actually apply for. I already have posted quite a number of them on the Facebook group. Every single time there's no more Erasmus applications, I always post these programs which you can actually apply for. So whatever I'm preaching here is about Erasmus, fine. But then again, if you feel it's not an opportunity for you, it's fine. Really, you do not have to break your back saying that, hey, I I'm hoping to apply. I'm applying. I'm getting discouraged, and I don't think it's a program for me. Well and good. Apply for something else, right? So I don't see you guys any other questions. So I will be closing this session now. I'm just checking to see whether there are other comments. But yeah, if you have no other questions, then I will be closing this session. If you're watching this back right after we have done this recording, please feel free to reach out. Feel free to join the Facebook group. Feel free to ask questions to the alumni, ask the consortiums. I always post, every single time I post a link on the Facebook group, it's always with the social media page of that program. And why do I do that is that you can be able to go ahead and check out that social media page, whether it's an Instagram, whether it's a Facebook page, whatever it is, and then you can be able to reach out to the people who maybe already gone through that program, or people who are actually applying for that program, and you can form a sort of community, and you can be able to see, who can be of assistance to you. What, assistance can you get from these people? They can tell you their experiences, what happened, etc. Personally, I did my master's. It was under a program known as KITE. And what I can tell you for sure is that it helped a lot to liaise with the International Office of Kenyatta University. And the thing is, my personal experience is that I was not picked the first time that I applied for Erasmus. And one of the reasons was, one, yes, there was not enough funding. And two, my personal statement was not as good, really. I will not share it here once again. Like I said, I don't want to be plagiarized. But my personal statement was neither here nor there, because I was writing as if I was applying for a job. Yet they wanted a personal statement where they needed to see what are my experiences, my nutrition experiences, what exactly have I done in the field that is actually relevant towards the application. So, I mean, my experience was I had to write it again, I had to write my personal statement afresh, and I had someone who read it, and I structured it much, much better. Because again, mine was 500 words. So I had jumbled up everything. And so when I worked with someone, I was able to structure it into one, the introduction, who am I, right? And then the experiences that I had before, the educational background that I have that is congruent towards that program. What am I bringing into that program? And then again, what am I going to do with this program? Fine, coming to study in Europe, it's all nice, etc. But what am I going to do with it after? And then tie into a conclusion that ties into your interests, your experiences, and your stay within Europe. Maybe it's about the culture, etc. Maybe the benchmarking that we've been talking about, these different countries that you would be going to. So these are the things that I actually did, and I got in the second time. Okay. So now, okay. Oh, before I can close, I see a question here on the EU CV template. Is there an MS Word template? I don't believe there is an MS Word template. I don't know whether you've gone through that CV Europass. If you go to the website itself, it should give you a way where you can download later. And you can download and maybe change it into a Word document. But I do think that it's there. I'm just trying to look at it here. But yeah, I think you can do it. 1 second, Steve. Yeah, so I think you can do it, because usually the Europass CV website would allow you to create the CV right there. And then you can be able to, let me see. The templates which are there are not, I'm just looking at the templates right here. So some of them might not allow you to do it. Let's see. Yeah, so, but you can download it and then change it and make it look well, So Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you can tailor it on the website and then download it. That's what I'm looking at, because they keep on changing this website, really. So just have a look and see what works for you. But you can always download it, change it into Word, and then be able to maybe change a few things here and there and see what to do. So yeah. Okay, Wanjiro, Mohio. Okay, so does each letter have to be different to the three programs one is applying for via Erasmus through within the same field? Yeah. Yes. So I would believe that you're asking about the statement of purpose or the motivation letter or whatever it is that the letter they are asking for right there. Yes, because each of the programs will have different connotations of exactly what you want to write. Remember when I mentioned some programs will give you some headlines which you have to answer. So you have to go by the headlines, right? Some other programs will leave it open and they will be like, okay, you apply, we need a statement for 500 words, we need a statement for 1,000 words. And remember, of course, maybe this is a different sort of field. So you want to be, within the requirements of that exact program. So different programs have different ways of doing things. So which would mean that if you're applying for 3 programs, then you need 3 letters, 3 different letters. And of course, well, you can introduce yourself the same way, but then again, you need to introduce yourself if, it's a different study, structure that you have, then you would need to restructure every single one of the letters and have 3 different ones. So, well, I mean, even if they're within the same field, if you look at the programs on the catalog, they stipulate exactly why, what you need to do, and what you're going to be studying, the curriculum that you're going to be studying. So, and the curriculums are very different. As much as they might be within the same field, those curriculums are also very different. So you need to structure, 3 different ones. So, I don't see any other question here. So I believe that you guys are okay. You guys are writing the amazing personal statements. So I hope that I will not be hearing this once again, that, hey, we are wondering what to do about the personal statements and all that kind of thing. I hope you've gained a little bit of value from this, really. And I will leave it at that, and we will definitely meet again on the Facebook, Facebook group. Tell someone. If this is not for you, tell someone to listen in, tell someone to join the Facebook group, and so on and so forth, to be able to get a glimpse of Erasmus and exactly what to do and all that kind of thing. So I do hope that your mentorship programs are doing well and you are bugging your mentors as much as you can and getting the much value that you need. I'm going to close the new mentorship program this coming Monday. So if you have not applied for the mentorship program, please run and apply for it before I close it, because you have a few days before I can close it. So anyways, it's been good hanging out with all of you who've been listening in. And if you're listening to this much later, feel free to reach out. And I will leave it at that. Have a good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Good morning, baby. If you're listening to this in the morning, then good morning. So bye-bye, guys.